Hello, guys. It's a very difficult day for crypto. We are dumping right now, but nevertheless, we are still on the bull market. And today I have a very interesting guest, James, who is co-founder of Jambo project, where we invested in. And it's a big pleasure to have you here. So, what are your thoughts on crypto market today?
Awesome, Alex. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Not the easiest of days for the markets.
Yeah.
I think there's a few factors that if they all hit, then I think we're going parabolic, like FOMC meeting on January 28th, MicroStrategy getting added into the NASDAQ soon so they can do a lot more things. Trump's entire, like from Davis Sachs to Elon to Vivek, all great entrepreneurs, I think will do things. And most importantly is Chinese New Year's, where all of China, 1 point something billion people are going to be home, drunk, and buying tokens. I think for the last 3 years, consecutively, every year during this time, it's been an up market. So let's see if it happens.
Yeah, great thoughts. Actually, I didn't know that they usually buy tokens during the Happy New Year. Actually, I thought like it's more bearish, like when there is Chinese New Year, we are usually down.
Yeah, I think the data I just had a friend show me was last 3 years. Every year during around like end of January, early February during CNY has been up because the buying power is more in Asia where think about it. Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Shenzhen, like the largest cities in China are ghost towns. Everyone in China, they don't take a break for the rest of the year, only go home to drink and gamble during these 2 weeks. All of China's like offline. So they're gambling and where they're gambling on meme coins and other things. So I think the liquidity is better.
Yeah, great to know. Yeah, I also think like it's a local dump and we are actually on the bull market cycle is not over. Let's see what happens next when US market open. Anyway, let's turn to Jumbo because it's the main topic of our discussion. And yeah, I was very interested to know how the idea of creation of this project did come to you.
For sure. Maybe I can give a quick background on myself because that leads into how we started Jambo and then what it
Yeah,
is real quick.
pretty great.
James, co-founder CEO of Jambo, ethnically Chinese, but I actually grew up my entire life in Central Africa in the DRC, Congo.
Oh,
Family's third generation there. Ended up in New York, studied computer science, ran a crypto fund for 4 years before starting Jambo because cross-border payments, remittances, banking, and unbanked, all reasons I got into crypto begins and ends in LATAM, Southeast Asia, Africa, all with mobile infrastructure because they skipped the PC. So we realized that in order to be hardware censorship resistant and connectivity resistant, we would build our own sort of all-in-one infrastructure in these markets, and that came as Jambo. So Jambo essentially today is building the largest mobile on-chain infrastructure and the network, the largest consumer sort of base in emerging markets. We essentially ship Jambo phones to over 100 countries. In 2024, we did a bit over 700,000 mobile devices to over 100 countries, created over 9 million wallets. So yeah, a bit about Jambo. That's how we started, is tapping into the mobile on-chain economy and sort of onboarding that user into crypto.
yeah, but how did you create this phone? Like it's so sophisticated, like it's production. It's different from token creation. It's much more serious business.
I appreciate it. I think most crypto companies or Web3 are more on-chain than us. So a big advantage, honestly, that we have is the supply chain side, where it took over a year to essentially source 3 factories in China that could handle the load. Because if you look at usual Web3 hardware companies, you're dealing in maybe 10,000, 20, 30,000 units. We've did over 700,000, few million we're trying to do in 2025. When you have these numbers, it's not about just, hey, do you have the demand? It's also, can you hit the supply? And not do pre-orders for over a year. So that's a bit, I think being ethnically Chinese is a big advantage because a lot of supply chain is there. So it took a long time to
Yeah.
source. But I think honestly, on the other hand, is distribution. If you don't go to sleep and wake up thinking about distribution, there's no way you get your phones or any of your products out there to that many people. So we'll get into that. But like, yeah.
Yeah, interesting to know. What are the advantages of using your phone instead of all any other?
For sure. So our phone is an Android-based phone, right? So you can download any app in Android that you would usually would, use it how you would. Number one is $99. Number two, think about it this way. You're 19 years old in, say, Sao Paulo, Brazil, largest market right now. You buy the phone at 10 a.m., it's $99, cheaper than usual mobile smartphones. And honestly, it's spec'd out in comparison as well because we break even on the phones. We want to get as many units out there as possible. You come in, we call it the phone that pays. You spend your time. turn your time into money. There's 20 apps inside. JamboApp is only one. It's your Jambo wallet, which is a wallet that supports over 13 chains, and your questing platform tells you what to do in the other apps to earn their tokens, which are all like publicly listed and liquid. But even if we gave you Bitcoin as reward for spending your time and doing quests and using other apps, you wouldn't care how about Bitcoin unless you had an on ramp or off ramp in your local market. So that's a big part of Jambo plays. So if you look at Axie Infinity, it took off in the 21 cycle. A big part of why it was in Philippines and took off is because YGG played that provider that talked to Binance, got the trading pairs, got the on off ramps. So yeah, I guess a user, if I was to say in one sentence, is turn your time into money in these emerging markets. A lot of what you can do is all in mobile. And when we provide that pre-installed with sort of like Matrix Fire, FPS Web3 game, earn 5 Matrix Fire tokens or F-Fire tokens for getting to this level. We have Petro Wallet pre-installed for other L1 ecosystems, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, interesting to know. Actually, it's very like impressive, and it's a big opportunity for quite many people in the world to earn money just having your phone. But there is a concern in crypto community that Android is a bit like unprotected. When you use crypto, it is a bit better to have Apple like Mac OS a bit more safe. So how do you work with safety? How do you guarantee your user a safety in crypto?
Great question. So the first I think is on the OS level, whether it's Android, iOS, etc. It's more of the apps that you're using inside that matters. I feel like then just at the OS level itself. So we circumvent that is number one, we have a dApp store. So we can pre-install various dApps and PWAs from the web. Second, the Jambo wallet itself is non-custodial. And we work with great providers like Taurus Labs, Web3Auth, in designing a lot of these aspects for our users. And I think at the most basic low-hanging fruit levels, when you have hardware, you just have a lot more control and security over the data and over the sort of functions inside the phone architecture itself.
Yeah. Where do you produce your phones? In China, right? Or
Yeah, our supply chain is in China.
yeah. And your like the most interesting market for you is obviously Asia region, right? Or like you are also expanding to Latin America, China, or Africa?
Yeah, so our top 10 countries right now, actually half are like LATAM, from Brazil to Argentina, Mexico. In Asia, we only have, I think, Philippines, Indonesia in the top 10. And then from Africa, we have Nigeria, Kenya. And a big function of that is with our own connections and growing up in Africa.
Yeah, but like anyway, you just launched your token. So what are the milestones for the development and like progress of your token? What is your plan? Maybe some interesting listings coming soon?
For sure. I think for any founder, right, we just TGE'd. We have a very long roadmap. We did our Series A over 3 years ago, led by Paradigm, Pantera, etc. All investors that provide a lot of value and also locked in for a very long time. So token roadmaps, a lot, right? You can use it in various value accrual methods. All of our Jambo sort of burns, fees, etc. Token sinks all go into the J token. It's at the sort of center of our ecosystem even for more offline activities, right? From say I grew up in Africa, but being Asian, you see Tencent, you see Alibaba, you see super apps, you see starting out with messaging, but then ending up in everything where you buy your airline tickets on WeChat, you send messages there. It's your social credit. You can take bank loans, pay electricity bills. So similarly for Jambo, a lot of our token value is in our ecosystem where you can use J tokens to access a lot of these in these markets.
Yeah, that's great. But you cannot speak about listings right now, right? Like it's confidential information.
Well, I
Or-
mean, what's public is, we did our day one listing with a handful
yeah,
of exchanges, really great partners from OKX to Bybit, et cetera, BitGet. And
yeah,
what
it's
is up
already
and coming.
impressive. Yeah.
No, 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 I appreciate that. And what I can't speak about is, we generally share about what our roadmap is and what we have control of. Now, a lot of listings is not up to a founder, or up to anything. It's honestly up to a lot of various aspects from macro to getting it down to the nail. And a lot of what we're doing here is trying to capture those markets. If you look at our marketing in Korea or in the US, so it's happy to share more. Please follow Jambo Technology on Twitter.
Yeah, cool. You said that you are based in Hong Kong. How is Hong Kong in terms of crypto business for you? You like it?
Yeah, I think Hong Kong is more just a function of our supply chain is about 2 hours drive away. As a financial center, a lot of the exchanges that we work with have offices and based here, travel a lot, like anyone in the space. Our team is very decentralized. But I think Hong Kong as a whole is making big moves. If you look at the sort of financial centers for crypto in Asia, you got Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia's coming up, but just a few of these places. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a big audience in CIS countries and also on Middle East. But like, what are your thoughts about these regions, and are these regions make interest for development of Jambo?
For sure. I think a lot of these regions are in some of our top countries already, but most importantly is we like to and we try to localize for benefits. For example, our largest markets in Brazil, Portuguese on WhatsApp groups, right? Our communities on Telegram, elsewhere, Spanish, French, otherwise. I think CIS is super important, and we're making a big push.
Yeah, unfortunately, I still have no Jambo phone, but I hope that I will have opportunity to buy it soon somewhere in Dubai. So, yeah, are you going to be in Dubai for Token 2041?
For
20?
sure. I think we'll definitely be there. 49 and the Jambo phone, we ship to 100 something countries, so I'm sorry if there's a lag with TG and everything, influx of orders, but definitely need to get your hands on Jambo phone too.
Yeah. Great. So it was a nice short discussion about Jampo development. And yeah, we are happy to share your news. And yeah, we anticipate the project pumping further and growing fast.
Yes, sir. No, have a great day, bro. Appreciate you having me here. Anyone, feel free to reach out over DM, Twitter at Jumbo Technology. Around. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we will share all of the links of the project below the video so you can easily access information about Jambo and maybe order the phone. So thank you guys for watching and let's stay in touch. Subscribe. Bye bye.